This is Ralph Rio. I'm an analyst at ARC Advisor Group, and this particular webinar is about the market for engineering design software that's used to design plants, infrastructure, and buildings. The market scope involves the functions on the left. Most of it is in the 3D design software area, but of course the study includes other software packages used by engineers to design the infrastructure and plants. So that includes 2D software, building information modeling, the engineering analysis software to begin the design, and for the capital project management to manage execution of construction. This market has two major segments. One is around the designing of the plants. That's usually involves an EPC, engineer, procure, and construction firm. And the industries that this typically applies to is the process industries like chemical and oil and gas, power generation, and shipbuilding in the marine area. And this software is used to design those kinds of facilities. We also have in this infrastructure, which is typically managed by an AEC company. And we see those industries are usually utilities, and in this case for electric T&D, pipelines, water treatment and clean water, residential buildings and facilities, and discrete manufacturing plants, civil engineering, that's the highways, bridges, etc., and other infrastructure for transportation, especially trades. So it's important to consider the matchup between the EPC and the plants and AECs and the building of infrastructure. Now, the market is going to go through a little bit of a dip in 2020 due to the pandemic. Most of the software is sold on a subscription basis, so we don't expect too deep of a dip. And then recovery in 2021 and back to substantial growth in 2022 and thereafter. Now, let's talk a little bit about the market dynamics and what's leading to growth in the marketplace. The market has pretty much, not completely, but pretty much converted from perpetual licenses to subscription services. Now, with a perpetual license, you have considerable upfront expenses. One is the payment for the license, but you also have to acquire the servers and configure the servers. Where subscription prices is usually from the cloud, so it's much easier to start using that software. So typically the first year cost is 60% lower with subscription pricing. The expense goes from a CapEx budget to an OpEx, so that gives the operating people much more control over who gets to use the software. There's almost no IT dependencies with subscription pricing. You do have to have a way to get to the internet to use these applications, but you certainly do not have to acquire and set up servers. So the IT dependencies are much, much lower, and there are no more upgrades. With subscription pricing, the maintenance of the software and the upgrades are all bundled in. So this is far easier for the user to both continue to use the software and to acquire it in the beginning. So it has led to much higher adoption rate and addition of new users. The other factors that are just increasing the need for plants and infrastructure. So the middle class continues to grow. The the middle class then buys products and also needs to use infrastructure. So we see this growing middle class pretty much due to the success of capitalism to move people out of poverty into the middle class, having driven this market growth. In the developing regions, particularly China, Asia, there is needs for new plants and infrastructure. That certainly drives growth. China is a growth area. And in the developed regions, like in Europe and North America, the aging infrastructure needs to be upgraded and sometimes replaced. So that is also driving growth. So the outlook for the market, other than the pandemic, dip due to the pandemic, is very positive, and we expect robust growth going on in the future. Now, there's been a lot of talk about digital twins for both plants and infrastructure. So I want to just kind of give a highlight of where digital twins are applied and why. So in the design and the build side, we see it mostly used for simulation. And in the operate and maintain side of the asset lifecycle, we see it for real-time condition monitoring. So this design and build project digital twin is usually a 3D model or a 4D model, and that includes time, and is used to optimize the construction sequence. So now you can complete the project more quickly for faster time to benefit, which can have huge positive impact to revenue, particularly for new plants. Also virtual commissioning, so that it reduces rework. So you can identify clashes and other types of issues, or so that the less rework and less delays. Now, on the operate and maintain side of the world, here it is usually some kind of mathematical algorithm to identify the condition of the equipment and monitor it in real time. So usually it's collected to real-time IoT data or process data, and is used in applications, predominantly predictive maintenance, but we also see it moving into process optimization and energy management. Now, if you want to find out more information about the market dynamics for engineering design software for plant infrastructure, please contact the author, myself, Ralph Rio. There's my email address, and I'd be delighted to help you out further and answer your questions. Thank you very much.